Is it bad that it all still sounds good to me on paper? Like hearing it?
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Tonight on Meet Your Double Feature, immortal warriors fight to save a doomed world in Highlander 2, The Quickening. Then, world-class martial artists fight for freedom and supremacy in Bloodsport II, The Next Kumite. It's a hard-hitting movie sequel double feature, and it starts right now.
Hello and welcome to Meet Your Double Feature, a double-blind movie review podcast. My name is Thomas, joined as always by my brother Frank. Frank, how's it going?
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about some good movies for once.
Oh, you're excited to talk about a good movie. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not, because I didn't watch one. So we're going to have to get into that.
Weird that you didn't do that. You should have. It seems like I picked a good one.
I mean, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but you literally picked a movie for me to watch that has a 0% Rotten Tomatoes critic score.
Really? Oh, dang. I wish I'd known that going in.
It's almost like you could look that up beforehand. But anyway, welcome back, everybody, to our show. If you've never listened to Meet Your Double Feature before, our premise here is very simple. Tonight, Frank and I are going to talk about two movies for you. Each of us picked one for the other to watch that neither of us had ever seen before. So we're going to review those movies on the show, let the other hosts know what we thought of their selection, and at the end, whoever made the better blind movie recommendation for tonight's episode is declared the winner. So far, we've been keeping track of the point totals of each review over the entire season, which we're calling our Forgotten Movie Sequel season.
I'm going to win this one. I've been saying that for a couple seasons in a row now, but
third time's the charm.
Yeah.
It would probably help your chances to not pick a movie with a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, but you did do that.
I mean, but what's the Metacritic, you know?
Good pivot. Very impressive. Yes, so we have sort of a double bill of action-adventure type movies on tonight's episode. In the second half, I've asked Frank to review Bloodsport II from 1996, the sequel to the Jean-Claude Van Damme film. But here to kick things off, Frank, you have asked me to watch Highlander 2, The Quickening from 1991. Given that you did not look at the Rotten Tomato score, what possessed you to ask me to watch this?
Well, we talked about Highlander recently. We talked on our ranking every movie ever made episode. I don't remember. I think it was maybe the first one we talked about Highlander.
I believe so. Yep.
And you really liked it. So I was like, what's not to like? There's more this time. There's two Highlanders? I don't know.
There are, I guess. But yeah, we did talk about Highlander on Remem, and I ranked it pretty high on the list at the time because for me, that is a really good example of just like 80s pulp fantasy storytelling. The movie's not super polished, but it's very inventive and memorable. And I really liked that aspect to it. I am probably going to have to recap a little bit about that first film to properly explain how bizarre the sequel is. Because we've been talking a lot this season about like what the point of a movie sequel is and like what makes a good one versus a pointless one. Highlander 2 might be one of the most off-the-walls sequels that we've talked about so far. It is straight up sacrilegious to the original movie.
Oh, really? Like it goes against the established lore of the first one?
It goes against it so much so that in every subsequent Highlander movie, of which I think there's like 5, the later sequels all ignore this one because of how much it deviates from the story of the first movie.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, well now I'm interested. I want to know what this one does that's that's so offensive to the franchise.
I mean, it really does break the rules of a very simple piece of storytelling, which is what's so amusing about it. Like, Frank, since we talked about it, have you seen Highlander 1 or you still haven't watched that one?
I still haven't seen it, but that's the one where like their catchphrase is there can only be one, right? Is that Highlander?
Yeah, that is Highlander.
So I assume this one says there can be a bunch. Who cares?
Well, it's there can only be one at a time for a while, but if a different one shows up, then that resets the board. It's straight up gibberish, like to the point where this is going to be hard to summarize. Like I'd say, even if you've seen Highlander 1, Highlander 2 is a confusing fever dream, but I am going to do my best.
Well, so right off the bat, are any of the actors returning, or is this fresh cast?
So we do get 2 actors back, which is probably the most notable thing about it. The lead actor is the same. The titular Highlander, whose character is named Connor MacLeod, he's a Scottishman, is played by Christopher Lambert, who, Frank, you would better know as the first actor to play Raiden in the 90s Mortal Kombat movies.
Oh, yes. He's original Raiden. Sorry. Yeah, I was thinking of
Yes.
Raiden number 2. I just watched Too Fast, Too Furious, and Raiden number 2 is in that one. So
Not Too Fast, Too Furious, Too Raiden. We're looking
Yeah.
at the original one with his very ambiguous European accent. He was the original Highlander. He's back for the second movie. I think he made it all the way to the third one before they recast him. Also, surprisingly, in Highlander 2, we get the return of Sean Connery, which is notable for several reasons. First off, this is the only character that Sean Connery has portrayed in more than one movie other than James Bond.
Oh, great. And this was not the movie that made him quit acting. The 0% here was not enough, but
Good point. Yes, he quit acting after
I think it was
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he made it another decade and a half before he was like, you know what? Between this and Highlander, I'm out. So right away, that's a plus for Highlander 2. The Quickening is that we have 2 of our main actors back. And in fact, the reason Sean Connery is back is that Christopher Lambert liked working with him so much on the first film that he made it like a condition of his own return, was that they find a way to write Sean Connery back into the sequel.
Did he die in the first one?
He did, because
Oh, he did.
I mean, I guess I have to. All right. So for folks who maybe haven't seen Highlander 1, or at least haven't seen it in a while, I'm going to recap as quickly as I can, just like the basic storytelling ground rules in order to get into the plot of the second one. So Highlander 1, right? 1980s film. Connor MacLeod is born as a regular dude in Scotland in the 1500s. He is mortally wounded, seemingly, in a battle with like a rival clan, only to find out that he is actually like unkillable. He's an immortal, ageless man. He just discovers this in this moment that he can't die. Because of this, his like superstitious friends and family like basically exile him. They're like, that's insane. You should be dead. There's the devil in you. You have to leave. So then he roams Scotland until he meets Sean Connery, who is essentially like the mentor archetype, because he too is an immortal Highlander, and he explains the beginning of the plot to Lambert's character.
Okay, that's where the there can only be one comes from.
That's where the there can only be one comes in, because the way Sean Connery's character explains it, there are many, not a ton, but there are several Highlanders who live all around the world. The only way that one of them can be killed is if you decapitate them. Like, they all carry swords, and if you chop the head off a Highlander, you can kill him. But otherwise, they never age and they never die. However, there is some sort of biological impulse that all Highlanders know they will eventually be forced to like fight to the death until there's only one remaining. It's just this calling that all of them are aware of, that eventually there will be an ultimate Highlander decided.
Oh, and does that happen in the first movie?
So that's basically the plot of the first movie, is we have Connor MacLeod living in Scotland in the 1500s. He meets Sean Connery, and then Connery gets killed by the evil Highlander, Kurgan, played by Clancy Brown, aka Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob.
Oh, good.
And then the story flashes forward. We see that MacLeod lives like several lifetimes worth in different eras and in different places. And then it catches up to the present day, which for that is the 1980s New York City. And then we have a present day storyline where Kurgan finds MacLeod again. And eventually they're the only two left. MacLeod beats him. He becomes the one true Highlander. That's like the basic plot outline of the first movie.
How do they know when they're the last one? It's
like a magical knowledge thing. Like the other aspect to it is that if a Highlander kills another, they absorb their power. Like it causes this like crazy electrical surge that'll like break all the street lights or something, and then that Highlander becomes stronger. So it's kind of like Fortnite. You know, you ever play Fortnite?
I actually don't think I've ever played Fortnite, no.
Don't. But also, it's basically a battle royale mode. Like they all spawn, they eventually have to get closer and closer together, and then when there's one left, chicken dinner or whatever they say.
What? Is that a Fortnite thing or?
Pretty sure. I don't know. What do the kids do?
Chicken jockey.
Chicken jockey. Yeah, exactly. So that's the plot of Highlander 1. Sean Connery is there to basically set up the premise and also kind of be a foil to our Highlander, because his whole thing, Connery's, is that he also tells McLeod, like, don't fall in love. Like, don't, marry. You'll have to essentially watch your partner grow old and die while you just continue to age. So the Highlander thing is very much a curse as much as it is a gift. And then the very, very end of the first Highlander movie, what McLeod does is he uses this ultimate power that he has won to turn himself into a mortal man. So that's like the payoff, is that after defeating all the other Highlanders, his ultimate prize is he gets to become a normal person.
Okay. That's really solid. Wrapped everything up nicely in that
It
first
wraps it up
movie.
nicely. He has a love interest in the present day in the 80s that he marries, and they live happily ever after until we get to Highlander 2.
Yes. 0%. Let's go.
0%. So there's more things from the first Highlander plot that I'll have to kind of rope in and explain, but that's like the basic lore. And the main reason that that's so important is that the instant Highlander 2 begins, we throw a huge amount of that out the window. There's a text crawl at the beginning.
I knew it was going to be a text crawl. I was like, how are we going to tell this? Yeah.
You know there is. The year is 2024, the distant future.
Yeah.
According to the movie, the ozone layer has been destroyed by pollution, which, yes, was a concern in the early 90s, so it makes sense that that's part of the story. But in Highlander world, the way they resolved this was that they built a electromagnetic shield that spans the entire globe, which protects humanity from the sun's radiation, but also basically casts them into endless night, kind of like the Matrix.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is a pretty common plan in sci-fi media to just block out the sun like it's a good thing.
We always try to block out the sun. It doesn't work. So now in 2024, where the original Highlander was like a contemporary set story about a man from the distant past, now we have moved into like sci-fi dystopia. Like the city that they live in, which I don't think ever gets a name, looks like Gotham. Like it looks like Tim Burton Batman. It's a really exaggerated kind of expressionist, like Gothic architecture sets to sell this idea that the world basically lives in like varying degrees of darkness year round and everything kind of sucks because they blocked out the sun.
I mean, everything you're telling me so far sounds great. So I don't see a problem here.
Listen, there's a problem, okay? There's going to be several problems. But the other piece of lore that they tell you before the text crawl ends is that the shield has been up for like 25 years. It went up in 1999, Matrix again. And then in 2024, there are some like revolutionaries who believe that the shield no longer is needed. They think that the ozone layer has repaired itself and that the company who makes the shield work is only keeping it in place to make money off of it because it like they have so much leverage by being like, we're the reason everyone's still alive. So they just use it. I guess somehow no one ever federalized that process. So it's just a business making money off of the Earth shield.
Yeah, this is sounding more and more realistic too. So I think they're right. I'm with these revolutionaries. What do they have to say? What's their pitch?
Well, their pitch is that the Earth is fine now and we can turn the shield off.
Oh, okay. I'm sure that goes great for them. What happens next?
Well, so that's our key lore at the beginning. The actual opening to like the story proper is we cut to an opera house, which once again is just giving strong Batman energy. There is a Germanic opera being performed, and we have this kind of fun opening shot where we have this really big auditorium with all these people in like the fancy box seats, and the camera pans around for like kind of a long time while you're playing the credits. And then right at the end of the shot, we settle on old man Christopher Lambert, who is a mortal man at this stage, but has just lived a long life and is now a tired old man watching the opera.
He's in old man makeup, I assume.
He is in very good old man makeup, quite convincing. The thing that does not work about old man Highlander is that he puts on an old man voice that is the most annoying thing you've ever heard in your entire life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a shame. What in terms of like budget here, is this the same scale of production as the first movie? Was this a theatrical release?
Fantastic question. That was going to be part of my summary here. I believe it was a theatrical release. And my only thought watching the entire first act of the movie was, this is a much more impressive production than I was expecting.
Okay.
Like, the set piece that most of the first act takes place in is enormous. It is this giant dystopian city set that has a street, an opera house, a restaurant with like an interior that leads directly back out onto the street. There's also, this comes up during the opening action sequences, there's like a catwalk above the street. So the whole thing goes up like 30 feet high. There's these like narrow catwalks that span across the street on both sides. There's also, at one point, a train comes through that is like a fully operational like locomotive, just goes through the set. And the whole time I was like, what is this? How did they put all this money into this opening part? Honestly.
This is all for one action sequence?
This is for like the opening 30 minutes of the movie, because the opera house is part of this, like the opera house exterior is part of this set. And after Lambert leaves the opera at the beginning, he walks over to a restaurant and then he leaves the restaurant and then he gets attacked by these guys. And like this all takes place on this like big connected set piece.
See, my Rotten Tomato score is at 100% right now. I don't see how we get down to zero.
This is what I was confused about, because when the movie opens, I was saying that to my wife because she was sitting there not watching. And I was like, listen, this can't be a 0. I know that a Rotten Tomato score is not saying that everybody gave it a 0 out of 10. It just means no one gave it a positive review overall.
Right.
And the whole time I was like, this is really cool. Like the movie looks nice in a lot of its sequences. You're going to find this funny, Frank. So the director of the film is Russell Mulcahy? I have no idea how to pronounce it. But it's the same man who directed both Scorpion King 2, which we talked about a couple episodes back, and The Shadow.
Oh my gosh, The Shadow. We can never get away from The Shadow.
You can't.
It's just, you can't escape your own shadow, I guess.
Exactly. But if that gives you an idea of how the movie looks production-wise, there's a lot of what I now understand to be like that director's signature visual tropes, just like giant rotating fans and like a lot of shadowy like lighting schemes and stuff.
Yeah, almost like noir-esque lighting.
Absolutely.
But in a more modern setting.
So yeah, these aspects of Highlander 2 in the first like 15 minutes, I was like, I don't see the problem. This looks great. The biggest thing is that past a certain point, the movie becomes incomprehensibly edited. Like the production itself falls apart midway through due to like real life circumstances. And if you look on like Wikipedia or the IMDb trivia, like all of the notes about this movie are about how it fell apart because I think they were shooting it in Argentina. And apparently in the early 90s, Argentina went through some sort of hyperinflation crisis and their economy was in shambles. And somehow that bled over and impacted the movie, so much so that the insurance company funding the production took control away from the director, kicked him out of the editing process, and tried to just rework huge amounts of the movie to, in their minds, make it more profitable looking. Like somehow they wanted it to just be the biggest thing on earth. And so they added a bunch of stuff and changed a bunch of stuff. And so the theatrical version of the movie was just like the director walked out during it. Like he was like, I didn't make this.
So, wait, I'm a little confused. So parts were rewritten, and then if the director walked out of the screening, was it like things that had been filmed were cut out of the movie and then other things were added in, like a B unit?
I think it was some combination of that. It's kind of sparse on details because this wasn't a big enough movie to warrant that much investigation, I think. But my understanding is they added stuff to the script that ended up in the final shoot. Like they strong-armed the director into adding stuff per their wishes. They locked him out of the editing process completely, which led to certain things in the theatrical cut. Like, I think the trivia says that if you watch the original theatrical cut of the movie, there's like 2 different fight scenes between Lambert and the main villain that are like stitched together as if they're happening at the same time, but they're from like the middle of the movie and the end of the movie.
Oh my gosh. That's funny. But to what end? Like they were trying to change the actual story?
I think they tried to change the story, which is where the lore gets all disrupted. But they also, I think, as soon as the inflation crisis hit Argentina, the movie inherently became massively over budget. And so the money they'd already committed to making it was now like a huge liability for them. And so they were either trying to cut costs or just some studio person, like, or somebody got involved who thought they could make the movie more profitable by like making bizarre changes.
Wow. So in regards to the sequels and this one, is it because the movie itself overall was so bad, or the changes to the lore were so drastic from these forced elements, these forced changes?
It's primarily that the lore got noticeably impacted. Like some of these ideas I think were in the original script too, but I guess to jump ahead a little bit, the version of the movie that I watched, which is the one most commonly available now, is called the Renegade cut of Highlander 2, which is the one where the director came in and re-edited the movie later, like years later, in order to remove certain references that are in the theatrical version. The biggest one being that if you watched the movie in theaters in 1991, they tell you that all of the Highlanders are aliens.
Oh, what? Okay. Well, now
Yeah.
I'm interested.
So my summary of this movie is super confusing because it's like multiple timelines of what's happening in the original cut and what survived into the re-edited cut, which is even more confusing because it's not like they filmed new scenes for this. The way it plays out in the movie I saw, the Renegade cut, while Lambert is in that opera house at the beginning, he starts to have these flashes of memories to something he previously was unaware of, I guess, about his time in what the Renegade cut calls the distant past, wherein he and Sean Connery were already friends. Even though they met in the first Highlander movie, they were already friends in the distant past, and they tried to lead some sort of rebellion against another Highlander who was evil. And they failed and were banished by some sort of tribunal of bald guys to the future. They banished them to the distant future and said, we're going to send you guys, and I guess several other Highlanders, and then we're going to do the first movie, and whoever wins can choose to become mortal, or they can choose to come back in time to the moment they were banished.
But he was unaware of, like, they wiped their memory as part of this process?
I guess they wiped their memory and also made them babies, because like MacLeod in the first movie grew up with a family in the Scottish Highlands, even though the moment he was banished, he just looks like an adult. And then also, in the original Highlander, Sean Connery's been alive for hundreds of years already. Like, MacLeod just figured out that he's immortal at the age of like 20-something. But Sean Connery knows all this stuff about the tradition because he's like, I've been traveling the world for hundreds of years. So it's like, hold on. They led a rebellion. The rebellion fails. They send them both into the future, wiping their memories, but they sent them to 2 different points in the distant future.
Yeah. And this is the version where they're not aliens.
This is the Renegade cut. This is the improved version of the movie. We get all this nonsense.
So how do they explain that then? That they have these magic powers, the bald tribunal.
In the theatrical cut, the whole thing is basically the same, except rather than having anything to do with time travel, they just sent them to a different planet. They were from a planet called Zeist. They failed to lead a rebellion on Zeist, and so they got sent to Earth. But once again, that version still has them losing their memories.
Okay. I'm with it.
Do you see where that zero creeping into the back of your mind?
Yes. These are still interesting concepts. I'm wondering if this was the studio involvement or how much of this was originally intended to be in the film. it is weird that either way that they're retconning the events of the first film in a way that just doesn't match up at all.
It's completely unnecessary because the main problem they had from a scripting level was that they needed to bring Sean Connery back even though he died in the first movie. And the way that they justify it, and the reason this movie is called The Quickening, is they retcon in that at some point in the distant past and or a different planet, depending on which cut you're watching, Connery and Christopher Lambert were such good friends already that they made some sort of magical pact that they could call on each other for aid even beyond the veil of death. Neither version of the movie makes that explicitly clear, but that is what you can infer from how they talk about it.
Okay, so they're best buds. They're best buds.
They're best buds, even though they met in the first movie and became buds. They were actually like best buds in a past life. You know, it's romantic.
Yeah, this is starting to sound like Kingdom Hearts lore, which is both a good and a bad thing.
It's so crazy. Like the first Highlander movie has crazy fantasy lore mixed in with modern New York City stuff, but the whole thing plays out in a really straightforward manner where you're never confused. You might be like, this is vague and as yet unexplained, but you can understand what's happening at least in the present moment. Highlander 2 has the feeling of a movie that is like Frankenstein together out of what probably started as a fairly legit production and then became a giant mess. And it's just impossible to understand like what they were even trying to do past around that 30-minute mark into the movie.
Are there more Highlanders in this one?
Well, this is the other stupid thing, right? So if this all sounds confusing, this is what watching the movie is like.
Oh no, I'm with it. Aliens, tribunal, I understand all of it.
Aliens, bald tribunal. How dare you try to usurp us? We're going to send you into the distant future where we don't exist, even though we ourselves were immortal Highlanders. He goes into the future, right? He's a very old man. His wife, from the end of the original Highlander movie, died due to solar radiation poisoning.
Solar poisoning.
What?
It's just, I don't know. That's just funny. Just solar poisoning. It just seems like such a...
She got poisoned by the sun, along with millions of other people, which is why, big first act twist, Christopher Lambert's character, our main character, is the one who designed the shield that protects the world, but also makes it horrible.
Mm-hmm. So cool. Love that.
So you would think that would be like more of a central point of the movie that like, because there's an interaction early on where some like drunk person comes in and they're like, oh, I know you, McLeod. Like you're the reason we're all in this mess. Like the world kind of hates him because it's gone so south ever since they turned the shield on, even though he did it because they all would have died if he had never created it at all, which is like interesting, but the movie kind of just forgets about it past a certain point.
Well, this kind of sounds like, isn't this similar to what Tony Stark was trying to do in Age of Ultron? He wanted to make like a global protection system that wound up turning into Ultron and turned evil.
I mean, yeah, but Lambert made a big shield that turned the sky blue, but sad, and Tony Stark made a bunch of robots. So it's like broadly the same, I guess.
Same intention, maybe.
I think so. I think the idea... It's funny to me that him having, in Highlander 2, that Lambert being involved in creating the shield has nothing to do with the lore of the first movie. He just, after hundreds of years, I guess, knew a lot of stuff and was able to just become a renowned scientist in the 1990s.
Yeah, he was bored. It's just like, what's science about? Let's
what's
read
science
a book.
about? I can figure that out.
Yeah.
I tried doing a history thing for a while, but my source was always just, I was there. And they said, that's not good enough.
I was there. It sucked. 0%.
0% Rotten Tomatoes. So you were asking a second ago, were there other Highlanders now in the sequel? So this is even more confusing. Hold on to your butts, okay? So in the distant past, not another planet, we've changed that. In the distant past, the evil, villainous Highlander, whose name is Katana, because someone thought that was a cool word and thought the audience would know it's just a Japanese sword.
Don't get killed by her.
What's that?
I was just thinking of the Suicide Squad. He's like, don't get killed by her sword.
Oh yeah. I would advise not getting killed by her. So Katana sends two of his soldiers into the distant future to go kill old man Christopher Lambert. And as soon as those two arrive, now there's more than one Highlander again. And so the movie uses this to justify him morphing back into prime of his power Highlander Christopher Lambert.
Oh, that seems unfair.
Extremely. It's just like dumb. Like he's walking around, he's doing this horrendous wailing old man voice for a long time. And then two other Highlanders show up and he goes, "Uh-oh, now there's more than one." And so then he just turns into young Christopher Lambert again, and then he just is for the rest of the movie. He even jokes with the villain about it later. He's like, "Yeah, you guys coming back here, like, you reset the clock. I'm immortal again."
but that's not what he wanted, though. Well, I mean, I guess his love interest is dead now, so he's like, well, if I can't have her, I guess I'll go back to being immortal because that sounds fun. I can do more science.
He wanted to be mortal the whole time. His whole point was that life as a Highlander was tragic and sad because in the first movie, there's a very effective scene where he has a wife as a Scotsman in the 1500s. And in the first act of the story, which is all like a flashback, Connery's telling him, like, don't marry this woman. Your life is going to be misery because she's going to grow old and die in front of you. But he chooses to anyway because it's true love. And there's a scene where she's very old and he's holding her while she dies. And he looks exactly the same. And she's just like touching his face. And she's just like, wow, you haven't changed at all. And then it's playing this love ballad over this scene by Queen, who soundtracked the first film, called Who Wants to Live Forever. And it's like genuinely really evocative. It's like my favorite scene in the first movie. So like, that's the point. He doesn't want to live forever.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting that he has two love interests in the first movie, like two successful love narratives for him. He has
the
wife that gets old and passes away, and like normally that would be it. Then it would just be dead wife flashbacks for the rest of the movie. But they introduce 100%. A new love interest for him. That's kind of fun. That doesn't happen too often.
Yeah, and he does get another one in the sequel, and it is the most bizarre thing in the movie, honestly. Like, Highlander 2's opening, he's still an old man. The woman who leads the like eco-terrorist team that's trying to blow up the shield, she just shows up in front of him for no reason and says, "Hi, it's me." I think they say her name is like Louise Marcus. She's like, "Hi, I'm Louise Marcus. I'm an eco-terrorist." She just starts questioning him about stuff. It's not clear what she wants from him. She's just like, "You made the shield. Why did you do it? We should get rid of it." But then she's physically present when he gets turned back into like peak young, handsome Highlander. And then the second he's done fighting these guys in that scene, he just walks over to her and they just like make out like really aggressively. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. You met this woman now, just now. Like, it's super weird and strange.
She sees him as the old man and then turn back into young Christopher Lambert.
Yeah, she's talking to the old dying man, and then as soon as he comes back, she's like, wow, he's hot. And then they just make out, and then she's his love interest for the rest of the story. And it's like, you don't know this person. You just met in the same scene.
I mean, hey, it's 2024. People move fast, I guess. When was this movie made? Was this made in the 90s?
Early 90s.
Okay. I was just going to say maybe it was the same type of thing where it was edited out of order. And maybe there were prior scenes with them interacting, and this was more of a culmination of that.
There could be. Like, I think in order to make this work, you would have had to have some indication in their earlier interaction that Christopher Lambert kind of forgets that he's an old man now, because he lived for such a long time and was married twice and probably had casual relationships over like 500 years. That it'd be funny if he saw like a young woman and tried to be flirty and then had to kind of be like, oh no, I'm like 80 years old now. So that when he turns back, there's a little bit of the like, oh, he's turned the charm back on. But instead it comes completely out of nowhere and it just adds zero to the story.
It should be young Christopher Lambert flirting with 80-year-old women. That would be fun.
That would be much better. That would be much better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, also, the thing that actually bothers me the most about that sequence, aside from how just ridiculous it is that while they're making out, they play an instrumental version of that Queen song, the Who Wants to Live Forever. I was like, that's not even, you don't even understand the intention of the music from the first movie. It's supposed to be sad. The line in the song is "Who wants to live forever when love must die?" And they play it over him just making out with this random stranger on a street. It's like a street corner.
And then she is a character in the rest of the movie. We see more of her.
She just hangs around. Eventually, Sean Connery respawns because why not?
Because it's Fortnite. Do you
'Cause it's
respawn in
Fortnite and
Fortnite?
he-
I guess you don't actually. That's
Well, no, that's the one thing actually is permanent. But he jumps out of the battle bus and he lands and he's like, "Hey, it's me, Sean Connery." And then they hang out and the woman's there too. And just nothing happens past that point.
no love interest for Sean Connery.
No, he's just well, because he's in the first movie, he represented like the kind of life of solitude that he was advising the main character to undertake. His whole point was like, I'm a flirt and like I'll go all around the world, but I never make commitments to people because I know that they'll die and I'll have to move on.
Yeah, he's the one that should have been making out with people instantly then.
He does flirt with a couple of people, but he's barely in this movie. Like the justification for bringing him back makes zero sense. And then when he does respawn, he's still in Scotland, but he's in 2024 Scotland. So we spend probably 25 minutes of the movie just waiting for Sean Connery to get to America so he can talk to Lambert in the first place. And then almost immediately after that, he dies again.
They finally reconnect. Does he get his head cut off?
It's confusing. He's not really fully there in the first place. He's kind of like a force ghost.
Oh my God.
He's physically present, but towards the end, he sacrifices himself to let the other two escape and then just like turns into light and disappears.
Turns into light. So, yeah, I guess sort of like what Obi-Wan did in A New Hope. He
Yeah,
becomes one with the Force.
pretty much. Like it's really half-assed. They don't care. They just wanted to put these two on screen together again. But then also, more than half of Connery's screen time is not opposite Christopher Lambert. He's somewhere else. So I was like, you put these two together so they could film together. And then by the time they actually reunite on screen, they have maybe 2 scenes and then he's gone again.
Do you think it's maybe because Sean Connery just lived in Scotland and didn't want to go anywhere to film the movie?
They filmed on sets though.
Oh, yeah. So was the whole thing shot? You said it was Argentina where they shot most of the movie?
Supposedly, which is probably just for money purposes, but there's very little of it that's on actual locations. A lot of it is just these elaborate, like, Gotham City sets.
Like sound stages? Yeah.
Yeah.
This movie is so stimulating to me because I have so many questions.
Yeah. But it's not stimulating to watch. That's the problem. All of these absurdities would be so funny in like a fast-paced sci-fi B movie. But instead, like the movie looks pretty good, it's lit really well, the performances are fine, but the actual like pacing of individual story beats is impossibly slow to the point where by the time the movie's over, it feels like we're in the first act still.
So what happens, like broad strokes? they do they shut off the shield? Do they tell Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns to go home and stop fighting the sun?
Like contemporary wrestling references in here. No. So there's 2 antagonizing forces in the story. There is the evil Highlander Katana, who comes from the distant past or another planet to kill the Highlander because he hates him. There's also an evil corporation that in fact is hiding that the shield is no longer necessary because they make money from running it. So we have to beat both Big Bad Corporation and the evil sword-wielding Highlander. And those 2 forces eventually just team up, and then they beat him, and it's over.
They don't turn the sun back on, though.
No, they do. That's like the last thing that happens.
And it works.
Yeah, it's fine. There's no
it's
twist.
fine.
The sun's fine. The ozone's back.
Okay, got it. So they were right. The eco-terrorists they had the right idea the whole time.
Oh, 100%. They were right instantly, and they almost immediately got confirmation that they were right, and then they just had to go turn it off, and that was the whole movie.
Is it bad that it all still sounds good to me on paper? Like hearing it?
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
I'm failing to see how bad it really got. Like how far off the rails we went here in terms of, like, was it really the editing or just the pacing of everything? It was just not exciting storytelling, because I like all these sci-fi elements.
The sci-fi elements are ambitious, and I think it's the thing the movie deserves the most credit for is, like, we talk a lot about, like, what's the point of a sequel? And we often will criticize movies that exist just to retell the same story again. This one could not be further from that. It is trying to cram an unrelated sci-fi premise into a Highlander sequel. But past the opening action beat where he fights these other Highlanders in that giant like city set, which is kind of awesome. But I mean, it's not like good action, but it's like really ambitious. Everything that happens after it is like long, plotting, drawn out scenes that go nowhere and add nothing. Like it just limps along. Like there's a scene where Katana shows up and confronts the Highlander inside a church. And they pull on some lore from the first movie where they're like, we can't fight inside here. We're not allowed to fight inside like a holy ground or something. So that conversation ends. Almost immediately afterwards, MacLeod just goes to a different place without establishing where it is or what it is. And then they do fight. And then they have a sword fight. And the villain gets the upper hand and then just leaves.
He doesn't try and cut his head off? Is that still the rules? Do you still have to cut their head off?
That's still the rules. We've restarted the Highlander games. Like, we're back to 1. And even though the villain, like, destroys MacLeod, he, like, knocks him off a giant ledge. I think he falls down an elevator shaft. And so he's at the bottom trying to, like, put his body back together because he's not dead, but he's really mangled up. And the villain's just like, you won't get away that easily. And then they both leave and go home.
Sounded like Skeletor a little bit.
Well, that would have been better if he was playing it like Skeletor. Yeah. It's exhausting. It's exhausting to talk about.
Not to me. Like I said, it's stimulating. I like everything they added except for the stuff that changes the dynamic between him and Sean Connery from the first movie. Trying to just rewrite that in a way that completely invalidates their relationship in the first movie and the actual logic behind it, that I don't like. But I do like the idea of everything else, of them jumping forward in the story and being like, we have these immortal characters that we've taken from the past to the present in the first one, so now we're going to jump ahead into the future. I like that. Even though, again, it sounds like he wasn't immortal at the end of the first one, but there's simpler ways to write around that kind of stuff and simpler ways, honestly, to bring Sean Connery back into the story.
100%. I think square one for how to get Sean Connery back into this narrative would be to use some sort of magical logic that like respawns all of the Highlanders.
Yeah.
And
just reset everything.
Just reset the game and then don't show any of the other ones. Just have somebody show up we didn't see the first time and be like, I was one of the Highlanders killed before, and now I'm here with my own storyline. And then Sean Connery can come back, and then that could just be it. You could just have some reason why that happened.
Or like new gen Highlanders, like there's a new batch that spawns.
Oh, like Gremlins 2, the new batch?
Like you said, like Gremlins 2? Yeah, exactly. But that could be fun if it was like kind of almost like an Old Man Logan type story where it's like old Christopher Lambert and there's all these young Highlanders that are trying to kill him because he's like the last one. And over time, as he's killing those other Highlanders, he could be getting younger and like getting his Highlander magic back. You know, they could be fighting through this like Gotham City.
That would totally work because in the action beat we get at the beginning when the movie's still kind of interesting, he does fight one of these other Highlanders as an old man. Like he's still shown to be fairly athletic. And so they're like battling up and down these like giant like catwalks above the street. And then he's like blocking the guy's sword attacks with like this metal pipe. And then the train runs by and he like rolls off onto the top of the train and they fight on top of the train. And he's fighting from underneath because he's an old man. And then after that happens and he kills the first one, honestly, the stunt work in this scene's crazy. They just crash a giant truck into him and it explodes. And it's like this crazy pyrotechnic stunt. And then he emerges from the fire as like young peak Highlander. And it's like, we could have just done that in a more like segmented way, like you're saying, where he slowly gets back to peak shape in order to be good enough to beat whoever the main antagonist is.
Yeah, because then that could be such a, he's like leveling up over the course of the movie. He's changing. He's going on a journey. And as he's fighting off these younger Highlanders, like slowly getting back to his prime. That does sound cool too, though, the way that they made the transition from old to young Highlander of him walking out of that explosion. That's also kind of fun.
Like, genuinely, I think if you watch the first 30 minutes of Highlander 2, you could laugh at the weird lore stuff. You would see Sean Connery for 2 seconds in a flashback. You would catch this action beat and then just go home. The movie ends with him making out with a stranger on a street corner while the song from the first movie about the perils of loving someone into old age plays in the background.
Yes. I'm still trying to think of my version of Highlander 2.
Okay, let's get Frank's version of Highlander 2. Let's clear the board.
I'm wondering, like, if the sun element could be related. Like, maybe something about them turning off the sun is the reason that new Highlanders show up. Because we take the alien part out of it and bring it back to just, like, maybe magic. But maybe they're, like, the Highlanders are solar powered or something. And there's something about he's the one that turned the sun off, and these new Highlanders, maybe they're the ones that want to turn the machine off so they can bring the sun back, or some setup.
Here's the problem. All of this fundamentally contradicts the like atmosphere of the first movie. The whole point is we don't know where the Highlanders come from or why they exist. They just have an instinctual call to circle each other and eventually meet in sword combat until there's one left. Anything that resets that game is already stupid. Like, there's no satisfying way. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, obviously. That's the whole problem with sequels. It's like, we told a good story in the first movie. It's done. Now we want more money. That's where I'm at.
So if Highlander 2 opens and he's like, listen, I want money. And then someone's like, okay. And then they just throw Sean Connery into the scene. That would be better.
Yes. That's why everything continues. That's why franchises exist. It's just the first one made money. Let's do it again and make more money. But
why not just tell a story about something he was doing in the 300 plus years in between the flashbacks and the present day story of Highlander 1?
That could work too. I don't like that as much as the future setting, though. I like that wouldn't be as an interesting of a pitch to me as this first one was in the past and then the present, and now we're in the future. I don't know where the other Highlander movies go. Maybe they do just that, but
I don't know, and I genuinely will never ever find out. I'm tapping out of Highlander as a franchise as of this movie.
Now I'm interested, so maybe I will. Maybe I'll look into it.
Okay. We'll start with the first one, and then maybe you'll know enough to be mad about the second one.
Maybe I'll watch them backwards. Maybe I'll watch the most recent Highlander and then watch them in reverse order and see what that does to my brain.
I feel like you're giving yourself homework. You still owe the people like 4 more prophecy
I'm
movies.
not promising anything. Yeah, the prophecy, we'll get to the prophecy. I said maybe. Maybe I'll do this.
I said maybe. I wanted the satisfaction of thinking about it without the responsibility of doing it.
There's a lot of things I might do, but doesn't mean I'm guaranteeing that I will.
I might get my life together someday. Doesn't mean you should count on it.
Yeah. Maybe I'll watch the Highlanders in reverse order. Who knows?
All right. Well, this has gone on an abhorrently long time, given that I thought this would be like in and out for Highlander 2. So any closing thoughts? Frank, you are the surrogate for the audience as someone who has not seen the movie. Do you feel like you know enough to understand why it was a 0?
I guess. Sort of. I feel like the sci-fi elements of this movie I am the audience for. So I'm interested in that. And I like as I said, the pitch for the creative direction this one went in following the first one, having not seen either movie. So I am sort of failing to see how no one gave it any kind of positive review, but I have to imagine it's just because of it just feels chopped up. It just feels like an unfinished project.
Yeah, it's absolutely unfinished. It just has it has nothing to offer. Like, you come out of that movie a lesser man than when you entered.
Well, that's a bummer. That's a shame.
So, moral of the story, check the Rotten Tomatoes score before you watch it.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that ever. I'm going to maybe watch the Highlander movies in reverse order and not tell anybody. I won't even do it. I won't even tell you. I'm just going to do it.
You won't even tell? Oh, okay, because I would absolutely make you do an episode about it.
I'm just going to keep it to myself. Some things are just for me.
All right. Well, I guess on that note, let's head into our intermission. And then when we come back, Frank, you could tell me about what is hopefully a much better movie, 1996's Bloodsport II. So we'll be right back. Okay, back now on the other side of our break. Frank, we turn things over to you for 1996's Bloodsport II, the sequel to what I would say is probably one of our favorite martial arts movies ever.
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, the Jean-Claude Van Damme filmography, he's got to have some of the top ones. Bloodsport for sure. There's that other one we both really like. I think it's called, is it Lionheart?
Lionheart's very good. Yeah, that's an underrated JCVD's Lionheart. We also talked about, a long time ago now, we talked about Double Impact on the podcast. That was where he played twins. That was fun.
Yeah. But Bloodsport, the original Bloodsport, is really almost the template martial arts movie. It's the template for, as we've mentioned before, I think the Mortal Kombat series of games and movies.
Oh, 100%. Because it's a martial arts tournament not to the death. I think they kill a couple people, but it's just a martial arts tournament in like a spooky locale with super exaggerated like fighter personas. Like everybody's like super cartoony.
Yeah, which is just perfect. I mean, what else could you ask for? The first Bloodsport is an amazing movie. And this one's okay.
Welcome back to our 25-second review show.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
It doesn't have Jean-Claude Van Damme in it. So just to get that disappointment out of the way for everybody.
Yeah, that is rough. He's kind of like a Sean Connery. I think there's only one franchise I can remember him doing, which was the Universal Soldier movies. He did multiple of those, but for the most part, he was always a one and done guy too.
Yeah, he's an interesting person. I think he had a very specific idea of his brand and the types of movies he wanted to make. And I guess he just didn't want to do franchise stuff. I mean, I would compare him to like Jackie Chan when Jackie Chan was at his peak of making Chinese martial arts films and action films. Jackie Chan also didn't return to a lot of series other than I think Super Cop was probably his main one.
Okay, this is I got a lot of knowledge here. I did a whole Jackie Chan-a-thon at one point. There have been 3 or 4 times where he made a sequel. Not so many that went as far as to be a franchise. Police Story, there's like 5 or 6 of those. But he did make multiple appearances as a couple of his characters. Although much like Jean-Claude, like none of them are characters anyway. They're all just themselves, which is maybe part of the reason they don't do reprisals. Is like, what's the point when I could just reset everything?
It's because these movies are not, that's what they're being sold on. You're being sold on, you're going to see a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, you're going to see a Jackie Chan movie. People are going to walk out of the theater saying like, oh, when Jackie Chan did this. They're not even going to remember the character's name.
Well, and also, depending on if you're watching like the dub or sub versions, his character in several of his films, if not named Jackie Chan, is named like something Chan.
Or Jackie.
Or just Jackie. Like there's a lot of movies that, at least in the English dubs, don't give his character a separate name regardless. Like there's no point. And Van Damme, arguably a similar boat. Like you don't need all the like baggage of carrying over other stuff from a previous film when you could just put Van Damme himself in a new setting.
Yeah. I think I might have brought it up when we did the other JCVD movie, but there was a fun quote from like one of the producers on the movie who was talking to someone involved in the production, and he said something along the lines of, you're not in the business of making action movies anymore, you're in the business of making Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. Because he was like that profitable, like his name alone could sell a movie.
Yeah, I mean, I would say maybe the only Van Damme film that probably could have gotten away with a sequel is Time Cop. Have you seen Time Cop?
I haven't, but from what I've heard about it, I'm surprised there aren't more of them.
That is one that has a very like specific premise about he's a time traveling cop. And you could have easily done that one again. It had some like memorable imagery. That's the one where they say like, if you come into contact, like physically touch a version of yourself from a different point in time, you'll both like explode essentially. Like that's the big ticking element in the first one, is like he has to dodge his version of himself that's in the past. You could easily turn that into multiple stories, and then that's like a character for him. But yeah, Bloodsport would have worked with him in it as a sequel because it's a really cool setting. But I'm guessing this was a direct-to-video sequel.
I believe so. I think this was. Oh, actually, no. This one did have a limited theatrical release, and then was
okay.
direct to video after that. But yeah, no Jean-Claude. This one stars Daniel Bernhardt as Alex, and this is jumping ahead, but he plays Alex in this movie, and he comes back in Bloodsport 3 as the same character, and then he's the lead again in Bloodsport 4 as a different character, which is just
that's weird.
Strange.
That's very weird.
Yeah. So there's 3 movies in a row. He's the same character in 2 of them. And then for some reason, they're just like, we're done with Alex. We're bringing the same guy back, but he's a new character now, which is just funny to me.
That just feels like that's like the modern thing where like people nowadays make scripts for stuff and then they can't get them picked up unless they turn it into some sort of IP based thing. So it'll be like, no, this is a Scooby-Doo show. This thing I wrote's a Scooby-Doo show. And then they'll change like 2 names and be like, see? That feels like someone had a martial arts movie script and they told them it was going to be called Bloodsport 4. And so they were just like, oh, okay, but it's not the same guy. And they went, that's fine.
That's fine. Who cares? Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, like, who was following this franchise closely enough to even notice at that point that...
That's a good point. I don't think anybody would be like, Bloodsport 4, I haven't seen 2.
Yeah, I don't know. But again, I might have to go watch them all now. So a lot of maybe...
How much time do you have? You're signing yourself up for all these franchises.
I'm not going to do any of it, but it's nice to think about. But...
It'd be nice to imagine. They're like, go to your happy place, Frank, and it's just you watching Bloodsport 4.
Sitting there. Not just that one, like all of them, like all the Highlanders, all the Bloodsports, just
so I can
movie
know.
marathon. Yeah. But I think I honestly feel like they cast this guy because he looks a lot like Jean-Claude Van Damme. And he can do all of the martial arts. Very importantly.
Okay. I would assume that's the bigger quality than...
Yes. I saw the poster for the movie that I saw has him on the cover, and it looks a lot like, at a glance, you could confuse him for Jean-Claude. And then I saw like trivia later on like IMDb or something that the movie, like some of the posters, like falsely advertised, like they put Jean-Claude on the poster for Bloodsport 2, even though he wasn't in it. But I read that trivia and I was like, did they maybe just confuse the 2 people? Like maybe people saw this Daniel Bernhardt on the cover and thought it was Jean-Claude, because they look really similar. I don't know if...
Oh, like they didn't actually deceive anybody? The audience thought it was JCVD?
Yeah. Honestly, I think that might have been the case, because they have very similar build and facial structure. But he unfortunately does not have the charisma that Jean-Claude does. He's got the moves. But not the charisma. In terms of other actors in the movie, though, we have one returning character from the first Bloodsport movie, which you've seen, but for people not familiar, it's Jean-Claude's main friend in that movie. It's his buddy who's also competing in the Kumite martial arts tournament. The character's name is Tiny, because he's this big dude.
He's a large man, yep.
Large guy, they call him Tiny. It's Donald Gibb is the actor, and he's the only one to come back. He's playing the same character. Narratively, he makes no mention of the first movie. He's just also here to be in the Kumite again, I guess.
So actually, I didn't flag this when you mentioned it. So the character in Bloodsport 2 is not playing the character from the first one either.
No.
He's already a new guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which I think was the right choice. They didn't try and like pass this off as the same character.
Do you think that's because the guy that Bloodsport 1 was based off of turned out to be a giant fraud?
Oh, I forgot about that.
Because in
Had that
Bloodsport
even
1,
come out at the time? Was that
Great
information? Yeah.
I know that Bloodsport 1 was loosely based on an account from a guy named Frank Dukes. What did they call him?
Oh, I
I
have
think
no
it was
idea.
like D-U-X. Frank Du. And
Ducks.
Frank Ducks in a row. And he had all of these fabricated claims about these martial arts tournaments he had won, including one where he said he won a tournament that was single elimination and had like 64 rounds. And people were like, that would require more people than exist on Earth in order to have that many people in the tournament.
That's hilarious.
But he actually
That's
was a
like
consultant.
Oh yeah. He was a consultant on the first movie. Yeah, I was just gonna say that sounds like Chuck Norris facts.
It does sound like Chuck Norris facts. He also supposedly like put Jean-Claude Van Damme, because he was a consultant on the movie, and he put Van Damme through this like really grueling training because he was adamant that Van Damme wasn't in good enough shape. And it's like, what a jerk. This guy's out here defrauding everybody and acting like Van Damme's not good enough.
Wasn't it a similar case with that Spielberg movie, Catch Me If You Can, where the main character is like a con artist of some kind, and it was based on the life and story of a man.
And then the guy made it up.
He made it up. He was a con artist, and
yeah.
like his biggest con was the story he told for that movie, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it's a winning play. He was like, I'm going to hit him with the Frank Ducks.
Hit him with the Frank
That's
Ducks.
what he
Yeah.
So anyway, I can understand why if that news was then available, maybe they would want to distance themselves, or they just didn't have the blessing of Frank Ducks to make the second movie about him.
Well, either way, I like the choice I made because I don't know. It's a different person. It's not Jean-Claude. So why would they try and make it the same character? That wouldn't make sense to me. That's why I like the way that they did it. It's a new character, and they have this one other character that came back from the first one that he can interact with. So it at least feels connected. Plus, given the nature, I mean, this isn't like Highlander where they go against the rules set in the first movie. The Kumite, I think, is like a yearly thing. So it just makes sense that there's another one.
No, that is smart. I think it's totally fine. Like the Kumite is a great setting for the story because it's not just that it's a martial arts tournament. It's that it's like a seedy, underground, illegal martial arts tournament that would theoretically draw people in for all these like different reasons. You could easily write in a new character into that setting.
Yeah, this is a very easy franchise to continue. Like it's not like Highlander where I'm like, I wonder what they do next. It's like, you think they do another Kumite? Yeah, they probably do another Kumite in the next one. It's just, that's what they are. It's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
But to stay on actors real quick for just a second, the last one I want to mention is he's only in a few scenes, but not sure how to pronounce his last name exactly, but Pat Morita is in this movie. And if you don't know who that is off the top of your head, that's Mr. Miyagi.
Okay, yeah. That's what I was going to say, Mr. Miyagi. I mean, that's pretty good because this would have been, when did this come out? 96?
96.
So that's not long after Karate Kid 3. So he would have still been fresh in people's minds if they were going to them Karate Kid sequels.
I mean, that's a good get to get Mr. Miyagi in your movie. He, well, as I said, I think is in 2 scenes, but he's one of the top billed actors. So they knew what they had.
Fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. Does he speak with his regular voice in this movie?
He does, which actually threw me off because
that's confusing, right? Because as Mr. Miyagi, he speaks super broken English, which kind of became part of his like presentation. But then the man was born in America, just speaks completely fluent English.
Yes. I mean, when he walked on screen, I mean, I saw his name in like the opening credits and I was like, oh, Mr. Miyagi's in this? That's cool. But then when he started talking, I like had to make that realization. I was like, oh, he's doing a voice in Karate Kid. This is how he talks.
Illusion shattered.
Yeah, that's fine. The only other I lied. There's one other actor that I wanted to mention. It was James Hong is also in this movie. Who
Okay.
do you know who that is?
James Hong is prolific. He's been in like
Yes.
hundreds of movies. I don't know what I would say. I know he's in Big Trouble in Little China, the
Yep.
John Carpenter movie. He just plays usually, I mean, I think in America he's played a lot of like kind of like Chinese mystical characters in various like B movies and stuff.
That's what he's doing here too.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Well, maybe not mystical, but to get into the plot of this movie, our main character, charisma vacuum Daniel Bernhardt,
Mr. Vacuum.
Mr. Vacuum, that's what they call him, because he comes in and he
Because he sucks.
that's good. Yeah.
I set that up without intending it, and then I was like, wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Don't let it get away.
Rhymes with ducks. I can get there. They set him up in this movie as he's like a thief, I guess. He's in Thailand to steal a sword, and this sword becomes a very like convoluted kind of part of the narrative, but that's what he's there for in the beginning of the movie, is to steal a sword. And he does some kung fu moves to take down some guards, gets away with the sword. He's stealing it from Pet Morita, Mr. Miyagi, and he brings it to his business partner, who then betrays him and rats him out to the police in Thailand, and he gets arrested and sent to prison. And that's where he meets James Hong's character, who they become friends in prison because there's like some schoolyard bullies there and some mean guards, and they're like, you want to be best friends and do karate together? And he's like, okay, cool.
Neat.
Yeah, it sounds fun. So
Wait, this is him and James Hong having this conversation?
well, I mean, they don't literally say, do you want to be best friends? But yes.
I was gonna say, it seems like kind of an older character to be like, do you want to be karate buddies?
No. Basically, James Hong sees our main character Alex get into a fight with these other guys in the prison, and like sees that he's a martial artist, and like helps him out because the guards kind of hate Alex right away. And these other people in the prison kind of hate him because, he's this like tough guy who like busted out some sweet martial arts moves on some of their dudes. And so James Hong like helps him out, and then is the one that tells him about the Kumite, and also like trains him. He's like, you're good at martial arts or whatever, but I'm going to teach you the way of the Iron Hand, which is like his special form of martial arts. And it's like one where he can do like ki blasts, basically.
Okay, that's mildly supernatural, but all right.
But only mildly, actually. I thought they were going to go further with it, because the way that they demonstrate it is like James Hong is kind of like this like frail, feeble old man who comes to the aid of Alex when he's getting beat up, and he's like taking these guys down very easily because he's doing these like very kind of simple like martial arts attacks, but it's like debilitating these guys because he's using this iron hand technique. And then when he's teaching it to Alex, they're like demonstrating it by showing him like punch towards a candle, and it's like putting the flame out on the candle. So it's not super exaggerated, but yeah.
I do think any good martial arts movie should have some kind of like learn a super move plot beat. I feel like they did pretty good with that even in the Karate Kids, where at least in the first two, he had to learn some sort of special technique, and that always plays into the end of the story.
And that's exactly what happens here. But I mean, I guess I'll save it. I'll get into it later. But
you got to build the tension.
I got to build the tension for the audience here, like the movie did.
I'm sure it's very, very edge of your seat.
Yeah. But this is where this movie, to me, commits the crime of having things being too coincidentally related. because the main guard who's like bullying Alex in this prison is also going to compete in the Kumite. And the sword that he stole at the beginning is actually the prize that the winner of the Kumite gets. So it's like everything is like related. And James Hong tells him about the Kumite because he competed in it before. And Alex says, I'm going to go win it for you. And then I'm going to get you out of prison, because I guess James Hong is serving like a life sentence in prison, because I kind of liked his backstory a little bit. Basically, he said that the reason he's there is because the military found out about that he knew this like iron hand technique, and so they made him teach some of their soldiers how to do it. And then I guess one of those soldiers went rogue or something and started killing people. And then they sent James Hong to go like track him down, and he killed that soldier who was like his student. And then they arrested him for that and like threw him away in prison, seemingly to like cover up their crimes.
That's a whole movie.
Yeah,
that's
I know.
A whole movie premise right there. Where's that movie?
He says it in like one sentence. He just tells him this is his backstory, and that's why he's in prison for life. And I was like,
that's
wait,
way
yeah,
better.
That is really interesting. That's more of a story than this movie has, because the rest of the story of this movie is Alex leaves prison. He's like, I'm going to go win the Kumite. And then he just goes and wins the Kumite. And that's the rest of the movie.
Well, now you've given it all away.
Yeah, spoiler, he wins. Yeah.
Okay, so hold on. Why, maybe you said this. Why did Alex steal the sword originally?
Just to sell
Just
it.
for money?
Yeah.
Just to sell it. Okay.
Oh, you know what? I forgot actually. So the framing for this movie is the beginning of the movie is like these young kids in a karate class or martial arts class, whatever. And James Hong comes in, and like some of the kids are fighting or something. And he's like, hey, stop fighting. Gather around. Let me tell you a story. And the whole story of this movie is framed as James Hong telling it to these young kids, which is really funny to me because he seemingly goes into all these gory details that he's teaching like really young students about this illegal bloody martial arts tournament and life in prison and people dying and people stealing things. And I'm just like,
so then I ripped out a man's kidneys, and then I turned and said, can we be friends?
Yeah. It's hilarious. And I even watching the movie, I forget that that's the framework, because it's just showing you the main story, and then sometimes it'll cut back to like one of these young kids asking a question, and I'm like, why are you here? Why are you hearing this?
That's kind of epic. I love the idea of just a pointlessly nested narrative.
Yes. So that the movie starts with, I guess the reason he's telling these kids these stories is because he's trying to explain to them how Alex went from being a bad guy to being a good guy. Because he used to just be a thief, and now he beats people up in the Kumite, and now he's not bad anymore, I guess.
Now he's a good person. And then one of the kids is like, how did he turn into a guy with a different name? And he went, that's for another time.
Another time. It's for Bloodsport 4. I don't know when that one comes out. I'm probably not in it. Shut up.
That's what he said. He said, I'm probably not in that one. Then he hit him with like a yardstick and said, violence isn't the answer.
Yeah. Sit down, Timmy.
Be a good person. And then,
So I almost forgot about that because it's completely unnecessary. I don't know why. Maybe they just needed some padding for time for this movie. But yeah, that's in there too.
I mean, it does remove dramatic weight that that James Hong presumably gets out of prison at the end. I don't know why we felt the need to like soften that for the audience. Do you think they were like test audiences were like, I was too anxious watching the movie because I was worried his old man friend might not make it?
I see. This is where I think there was some type of production issue, or they seemingly just forgot to film scenes, because it doesn't feel like there's pieces missing of the movie until you get to the end. We're going through all these beats. He's fighting in this martial arts tournament. His rival is the guy who happened to be the guard who was beating him up at the prison he was in, who I think his name is Demon. I think his name's just Demon.
Nice. This is his birth name.
Yeah. It's like, this is going to be a good guy right here.
They were like, listen, his parents were like, if it's a girl, Linda. If it's a boy, I get to pick. He came out as Demon Jones.
Demon murder, death, kill. So he gets to the last round and he's fighting against him. And there is the quickest of cutaways where James Hong is in the crowd watching this fight. And someone like randomly says, oh yeah, he made a deal or something and got him out of prison. I was like, wait, what? Like,
to watch the fight specifically?
Just to get out of prison. Well, seemingly he's out after that because in this future setting, he's talking to these young kids.
Well, I thought he was going to get out anyway because the guy won at the end.
That was never the deal. It's not like you win the Kumite, you get to get one person out of jail free. I don't.
As a reward for winning, you have passed go. You've collected $200, and you get out of jail free.
There was something about, there was a side story happening about him trying to get the sword back from his old business partner and get it back to Mr. Miyagi. And I think that was the logic. Like, Mr. Miyagi was this kind of influential person who was able to get James Hong out of prison because Alex got the sword back to him, I believe. But it just feels like they forgot to film those scenes.
That definitely feels like it would require a scene with Pat Morita that maybe they didn't have time to film.
Perhaps, yeah, because, and the way it's shot too, it's just, you see James Hong just in close-up. And there's no more scenes between him and Alex. It's just, it looks very like George Lucas special edition, like he was just plugged in there. It's just, so I don't know what happened there.
I feel like we've referenced George Lucas in like 3 or 4 episodes in a row.
We just can never not mention Star Wars. That is, I don't know why. Don't even like it that much.
Just random hot take in the middle of it. Derivative. Anyway. Okay. I mean, that's a pretty fair summary of the story beats. I guess my 2 remaining questions. A, is the martial arts good? And B, does the movie look nice? Because you mentioned that with Highlander, like, is the production value okay? That's the 2 missing pieces for me to kind of envision the sequel here.
It doesn't look anywhere near as good as Bloodsport 1.
Bummer.
It looks fine. It's not. It's definitely a major production in terms of the production value. Like I said, it did have a limited theatrical release, and I think the version I watched was maybe not the highest quality, but the original Bloodsport, I mean, I think the last time I watched that movie, it was like a 4K version, and it just looked amazing. I mean, the original Bloodsport is that Canon Films? Am I misremembering that?
Great question. Let's find out.
Yeah.
Correct. 1988, Canon Films, famous B-movie production studio, did in fact make Bloodsport.
Yeah, but those visually, so many of those movies hold up really well because they were shot on film, and I think oftentimes had, like, they knew where to put their money into, because a lot of those movies were just like designed to be like cheap turnarounds to make a profit. But I mean, the cinematography in the original Bloodsport is amazing. I like, just when I picture it, I just picture like really warm, soft lighting and like like you can see the sweat dripping off of Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
But
it's really colorful too. There's
yes,
like a couple of short scenes where he leaves the like arena and is just in Hong Kong or wherever that, like, what part of China it takes place in, and then it just looks gorgeous. Like you said, it's a lot of like real practical stuff that just is shot in a really nice way.
Yeah, it's so vibrant and contrasty. That's just a great looking movie that really elevates it. This one is passable in terms of its production value, but the martial arts is actually top notch, which is great.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's something. I was going to say, I'm not seeing, this is the opposite of the Highlander conversation. I was seeing nothing of note in this movie, but if the martial arts is good, that counts for something.
This is worth noting, the very first credit, which I've never seen this before. The movie ends, credits start rolling. The first credit is Philip Tan, who is credited as the second unit director, the fight choreographer, and the stunt coordinator, and he was one of the actors playing one of the fighters in the Kumite.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
He was doing that's rare, I feel like, to see the choreographer, like the coordinator, actually step in. But I guess they just needed like able-bodied people to fill out the what was the 6 billion person tournament with 60 rounds.
Right, the 64 round tournament. Yeah. Yeah. His character in the movie is fun too.
Sorry, I'm just picturing like, all right, we got our bracket for the first round. Looks like you're going up against a malnourished baby. That's seems like an easy dub.
That's actually an interesting idea. If we did a bracketed tournament with every person alive, who's coming out on top? It would take a long time.
There'd be a lot of buys. People would just miss their scheduled match or die in the meantime.
Well, I'm picturing it's like you get teleported. There's sort of a
it's magical.
element.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just like tournament starts like right now. You're face to face against your opponent. If you win, you move on to seemingly forever. I don't know. This would narrow down eventually.
Eventually, you'd get into. And is this just like standard karate rules? Like we just got to like hit a ring out or like knock them down? It's not like a death match, right?
That's actually a good thing to bring up in relation to this movie. We can circle back around to the world tournament we're going to do, but this I don't remember in the first movie. I was going to ask if you did, but this movie, specifically to me, this Kumite has Budokai rules from Dragon Ball, meaning it's a square ring, and if you get knocked out of the ring, you lose. Which I don't remember if that was a factor in the first movie.
I'm fairly certain it was, but they never made it a plot beat. There was just a couple of times where they would like spin kick somebody out of bounds, but it would also kind of be a knockout.
Okay, because there's a great scene in this one where one guy loses by ring out and he's pissed and he tries to like get back in the ring and keep fighting. And there's like these 3 judges that are watching the fights. And the head judge just like stands up and walks into the ring and like easily takes the guy down and like throws him back out of the ring to like stop him.
See, that's good.
Yeah.
Cool karate judge.
Yeah. Yeah. There's another scene where Demon kills somebody in his fight, and which in the Kumite is not a disqualification. You do move on, but it is apparently frowned upon because when he does that, all 3 of the judges stand up and then just like turn around and face their back to him in disapproval.
Disapprove.
Yeah.
How dare you? We're not, I mean, you get to advance, but shame on you. Yeah. That happens in the first one. There's a big buildup in the original Bloodsport that the villain is like bringing a lot of his opponents close to death, but never actually does it. And then he kills somebody at one point, and it's like a big, like, second act thing.
Yeah, exactly. It did feel kind of derivative. I mean, his whole character, he's just a worse version of, I can't remember the actor's name. We talked about him. He was in,
We did.
I think, Shoot Fighter.
Gosh, I'll look it up. Research guy today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the actor's name is Bolo Young.
Bolo Young, yes.
And the character was Chong Li. I almost called him Tong Po, which I think is a different character he played in some other martial arts movie.
Possibly, yeah. Yeah. Demon is just a discount version of him. So not much else to say about that. He's just the antagonist in this movie. And in that scene, he like seemingly very intentionally kills the guy he's fighting. He has him in like a reverse headlock and just breaks his neck. But man, yeah, the fights in this movie are so fun because the entire second half of the movie, almost comically, is just you're watching this whole tournament play out. Like, you're not just seeing our main characters' fights, you're seeing like all 64 rounds of this tournament play out.
Again, you got a lot of rounds to get through. Some of them go quick. That baby didn't last long, but other than that, I mean,
no, it didn't do its best. What if 2 babies wound up fighting each other? That would, like, some of these would have to have a time limit, right? You just have to end it quickly. Because
it feels like when people try to put like their like hamsters on like a little makeshift racetrack and they just don't move, and they're just like, come on, just go in that direction.
Yeah, I don't think we could convince some of these people to fight. There'd be a lot of forfeits. There'd be many forfeits. Some people would be really into it.
I think there should be a small penalty for forfeiting, not to really disincentivize it, but you should just get like smacked on the back of the head if you forfeit.
Smacked on the back of the head, just with like a bare hand. Somebody who's hitting you, the judge from the Kumite, just smacks you
The
on the back of
strongest baby.
That's
The strongest. What's the strongest baby we have? Smacked on the back of the head.
Somebody in your own age bracket has to hit you on the back of the head for quitting. That's the only penalty.
Because otherwise everyone would forfeit. I mean, most people don't want to compete at all.
Yeah, I think that's fair. We're just trying to figure out who's best here. So if you give up, I mean, you're out. I don't think there should be a penalty for forfeiting.
Okay. Well, you know, to really settle this, it starts next week.
Yeah, I know. We're workshopping it. We'll get there. But
Just, you load up and you're just like, all right, first round, Mike Tyson. This is the worst luck.
current Mike Tyson or
Dude, current Mike Tyson still wins this tournament. Like, there's no shot.
he gets pretty far. I don't think he wins, but it depends who he's matched up against, right? I mean, it's random.
He could just get babies all the way down.
He could just get babies all the way down. It could just be Mike Tyson versus all the babies.
The announcers, they're like, folks have really been building anticipation for when Mr. Tyson fights a real adult man, but it's just 40 straight rounds of him gently placing a baby outside the ring.
And then a rematch against Jake Paul, as it turns out. What are the odds?
Oh, boo.
Speaking of announcer, the announcer in this movie sounds like they got the guy from Street Fighter, from the games. Because I couldn't understand what he was saying, but it literally sounded like just a voice in the background, like, Sagat! Like, it's just...
It's like super muffled.
yeah, like, that's what it sounded like. Like, Sagat versus Blanco. It's just like...
Perfect.
Yes, exactly. See, you got the voice. That's what it sounded like. I was like, is that literally him?
That's way better.
Yeah, I was like, that's fun. And there was even, so the guy who I believe, I could be wrong, because I didn't realize this until I got to the credits, that the person who was the choreographer and the stunt coordinator was also one of the fighters in the movie. He was credited as John, and if that is who I think it is in the movie, he was playing a character who, after his first fight, he goes and sits down next to our main character. And the main character is like, oh, I liked your fight. Like, what's your style? And he just goes, Street Fighter. I was like, wait, what?
Whoa. He said the thing.
Yeah. He's like, that's me. It's my own style. I'm a Street Fighter. And I was like, oh, yeah. Okay. So there's some Street Fighter happening here.
And then Alex was just like, Marvel versus Capcom 3.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, okay, what are we? All the fighting games. Super Smash Bros. This also had...
Killer Instinct Gold.
Super Street Fighter 3 Alpha. How many we got? Tekken?
Just a quick... all these complicated titles. I'm just... Tekken.
It's the first one.
They interviewed all those babies on the way out too. None of them.
What's your style? What's your style? Forfeit, lame, boring. What was it like going up against Iron Mike?
Bluey? That's not a style.
Yes, it is. Just speak Australian until they give up. Speaking of...
This feels like our world tournament. As much as we said it's every person alive, we refuse to look at any other scenario except people fighting small babies.
Well, you have to look at your weakest link, okay? This is the one fatal flaw of the tournament, is that if it's everyone alive, there's going to be a lot of babies in the tournament. They're going to have to fight people.
We're going to add a wheelchair ramp up to the ring.
Well,
I mean, a lot of people are going to need various accommodations.
There's going to be a lot of accommodations necessary. The real betting odds are going to be which baby is going to make it the farthest in this world tournament.
There's going to be like a 10th round baby, because he's just going to keep pulling other babies.
It's going to be other forfeits. There's going to be adult people that aren't going to want to fight a baby, and so they're going to forfeit, and then that baby's going to keep moving on. We might have babies in the finals. Who knows?
final round. Everybody gets lopsided into the front half of the bracket, so all the real fighters are out, and then like the entire second half is just again Mike Tyson versus babies, all the way to the grand finals. It's like, God, we should have fixed this.
It's a viable strategy. Pity is a viable strategy in this tournament.
Is this still the podcast, or have we just moved on?
This is definitely still the podcast. It's just maybe not the movie anymore.
All right, Frank, I think that brings us over to final scores and wrap up for tonight's double feature. I will go first, since we talked about Highlander 2 in the first half of the show. I'm sure you've gathered from our conversation that the movie is not well liked.
By you.
Yeah, by me and every single professional film reviewer who ever saw it. I'm pretty sure that Roger Ebert, our good old friend Ebert, declared it the worst film of 1991.
Oh. Well, that's something in its favor, right? It's
See, like when he says it's so horrible and bad and awful, that kind of is a good thing.
like, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. We've watched some really bad movies on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've been getting into an interesting territory where stuff like this, if I was watching casually, I might just not even finish, you know? Like there's something to be said for being made to sit through something for work and being like, I have to see this through to the end. I think it gives me more time to like look for good qualities. But I will say everything about Highlander 2 peaks in the first like 35 minutes. That's where everything impressive about it comes in. And then past a certain point, it's just diminishing returns on what was already a pretty weak start. So that in mind, I think Highlander 2 gets a 2.
Yeah, I felt that coming. I felt that too coming.
These are low. Sequel season has given us some record low scores. I think that's a tie with Weekend at Bernie's 2 for our worst sequel so far.
Weekend at Bernie's 2, as I said, was the worst movie I've had to watch for the show.
Yeah. Highlander is just really aggressively dull. And I was pretty like biased in its favor going in because I really liked the first one and would be pretty forgiving with a lot of stuff. But I don't know. It just felt like it wasted a lot of time in the second half. And also, like a lot of the bad movies we've reviewed, like it just fell apart. They didn't get to make the movie they wanted.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That sounds like the biggest thing that afflicted this movie. I think it had some interesting ideas, but they didn't really, I guess, get the chance to execute them the way they wanted to. And it still might not have even been good, even if they had. So what can you do?
Maybe not. I mean, it gets points for ambition. Again, we keep saying what's like movie sequels are usually nothing more than a cash grab. There are very few that feel like motivated follow-ups to an existing film story. And I do got to give credit for them being like, what if it's just borderline unrelated? Like a very different plot structure. I would rather see that more often, even if it leads to some occasional miserable failures like Highlander 2.
Yeah, it does seem like a pretty miserable failure.
I'd say so. But over to you, Bloodsport 2. Similar category of film, I'd say, but maybe one that had slightly more success.
I think so. I don't think Bloodsport 2, I think it had a much easier template to follow, and it didn't try and deviate from that too much, which I don't think it should have. I think if you're going to make sequels to Bloodsport, it's probably best to stick to that formula. And I don't know. I think given the circumstances, this could have been a lot worse than it was. I'm glad they gave proper credit and appreciation to the fight choreographer and stunt coordinator, because that's really what this movie was built around. That's really the core of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, the lead, he's no Jean-Claude, but that's what makes Jean-Claude such a special attraction, I guess.
Oh gosh. I mean, how many people in film history have nailed that combination of being very talented martial artist, very like conventionally attractive leading man Hollywood type, and also have some type of physical or like just charisma to them at all? I mean, there's not that many.
No, absolutely. Yeah. It's definitely a unique combination. And so, yeah, I don't want to harp on our lead in this movie too much, but there was just, unfortunately, like no charismatic characters other than maybe Tiny, the the recurring character from the first movie. He was kind of fun, just playing the same character. So that kind
Yeah.
of just brought the whole energy down a bit, but I enjoyed it for what it was. So I think for me, it lands at I'm gonna give a 6 out of 10. It
A
was just
6 out of 10.
yeah,
Oh my gosh.
why not?
Why not? Like, I don't like this meta narrative unfolding that I'm the more judgmental one on the show. Okay.
Well, that's okay because
It's
it's just a fact of life. But
Listen, here's what happens. We go to pick movies for the show. I see one that has a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. I go, maybe don't pick that one.
yeah, exactly. I don't look at the scores at all. I look at a glance and I say Highlander 2.
I mean,
That's
that's
gonna be a winner.
that is arguably a more pure way to play the game. We definitely avoid as much info as possible beyond like what is the movie, just period. But yeah, not looking at scores even at all is bold, and it sometimes works. Not today.
Not today, folks. Gamble did not pay off. Can we get the can we get the Street Fighter announcer back in here?
Oh, perfect.
Oh, okay. He approves. All right. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. I think it's just a canned piece of audio he recorded 40 years ago, but all right. Okay. So that means that at the end of tonight's episode, Frank, the movie I suggested for you got a higher rating than the one you gave for me. That makes me the winner of tonight's episode of Meet Your Doobly Feature.
Good for you.
It's the same thing you said last time. It's the exact same response.
I know. I like it. It's funny.
It is funny.
It's funny
It's
because
funny
it's
to-
like, do you like do people know what I'm referencing? Even
That's a good question. Wait, do I know what you're referencing? What is he referencing?
it's I think it's Christian Bale's like rant that he goes on that like lighting guy.
Oh, where he's yelling at the lighting guy. Yeah. Okay, folks, there's some continuity there. We talked about that when we talked about American Psycho 2.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as the winner of tonight's episode, I've also broken our tie, Frank, in the season 3 standings, because up until this episode, our movies, the combined scores for each had totaled out the same. I've now pulled ahead by a few points, but we do have one more pair of sequels to go through. So you could even it out and you could still win the whole season.
Yeah. I intend to.
All of it comes down to this moment where you should probably pick a movie with more than a 0 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Listen, I got 3 words for you, okay? Bigger, fatter, liar.
Gosh, just circular conversation from the end of the last episode. All right, I will go first, making my selection for our season finale, talking about forgotten movie sequels. I feel like our season finale so far are always really obscure stuff, like things that we never picked earlier because they didn't seem like as relevant, but just things we both wanted to check a box on. And I kind of have one of those picks again. So, Frank, for next episode, I would like you to watch 1997's Fierce Creatures,
Okay.
which is not a real sequel, but a spiritual sequel to an older movie called A Fish Called Wanda.
Oh, all
Have
right.
you heard of A Fish Called Wanda?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I don't. I think I'm confusing that with another movie. Is there a movie just called Big Fish?
Big Fish is a different movie, yeah.
Okay, I don't know which one I've seen. So,
So, okay. So, A Fish Called Wanda is a movie from the late 80s that is like a comedy with a leading cast of 4 people. It is John Cleese, Jamie Lee Curtis, Kevin Kline, and a guy named Michael Palin, who I don't actually know from anything else. And it's just a fairly straightforward comedy that I remember liking. And it's one I've talked to you about before because the score in A Fish Called Wanda was lifted partially for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2.
oh right,
Remember we talked about
Yes,
this?
Yeah.
And I remember when I watched Fish Called Wanda much later, I was like, that's literally the Ninja Turtles music. That's so bizarre. But it turns out it was written for this, and then they just repurposed it for Secret of the Ooze. But it's a pretty good comedy. And I guess almost 10 years later, this entire like creative team got together and made a movie called Fierce Creatures, which is those same 4 lead actors and I think the same director, but it's like a different story.
Yeah, that's fair. I did have some on my list too. Where I was thinking about checking the rule book on how we felt about spiritual sequels. So I count it though.
I think so. And I think it's a good it's a good way to expand like what we've talked about this season because we've looked at very different types of sequels. Sometimes it's just let's follow the same lead character on a totally unrelated story. Sometimes it's let's revisit a world with maybe some new people in it, like Bloodsport. This is what we haven't looked at, which is like how much of a sequel is it if we change the names and the places, but it's the same actors.
Okay. You said 1997.
1997, Fierce Creatures. That is the sequel. I haven't seen it. I liked the previous film. I'm hoping you like the second one.
Okay. Rotten Tomatoes is above a 0. What do we think?
I guess I'm not allowed to check, so we'll see.
Yeah, you're not. Just testing you.
Oh, I see. Okay, so that's my pick for next time. Again, a little more outside the box, but for some reason our season finales tend to be more outside the box.
Yeah, why not? Why not? The box is boring.
Why not?
Live outside the box.
Who needs a box?
I think that's a Taco Bell catchphrase.
Well, they said think outside the bun.
Oh, yeah.
And then they said don't eat the lettuce.
Yeah,
That's the current catchphrase.
Yeah, don't eat the lettuce. Yeah. All right, so over to me. I got one. Yeah, I had a few lined up here, but I think I'm gonna go with this one because I don't know if this is inside the box, outside the box. Where's the box? I don't know where it is, but you're gonna watch 1986's The Color of Money, which you've maybe heard of before. This might be.
Is this a Tom Cruise picture?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Science.
It's well, yes.
That's what they say, right?
It's
really like science.
He does
Smart guy.
Something about that. Something about that word, and maybe more of it. But it's also a Scorsese movie. It's
okay. See that I didn't know that part.
And it is a sequel. So it's a 1986 movie, but it's a sequel to the 1961 movie, The Hustler.
Okay. Yeah. Because Paul Newman's in both, right?
Yes, Paul Newman's in both.
Oh my gosh. It's Butch or Sundance. I don't remember which one he is.
Butch and or plus Sundance.
All divided over Tom Cruise. Okay.
Yep.
That's honestly, science. Great pick. That's a classic. That's like a legacy sequel, but from the 80s, which is weird.
Yeah, so I don't know where that lands in or outside the box, but there you go. That
I would say that is in an older box. You know what I mean? It's in a box, but we forgot about it. It's in the attic.
Okay. Sure. I'll take it.
I'll take it. Yeah. Okay. I'm excited for Color of Money. This is interesting to me. I think we started our Forgotten Sequel season with a pair of decent to good movies. And then we got real weird with it for like 4 episodes in a row. And so I feel like we're going to end strong. These both sound like they're actually pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. I like getting weird with it though. There's just what's out there.
I mean, our show's about forgotten films. That's definitely kind of in the mission statement is to talk about weird, it's to explore strange new worlds.
To boldly go to the Kumite 2 in Thailand.
All right, well, that's going to do it for tonight's episode of Meet Your Double Feature. Thank you so much for joining us. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, please give us a rating. And I'll be honest, please tell a friend. Tell someone in the real outside world about the show because it helps us out a bunch. And you'll show them your new favorite podcast, I'm assuming.
Yeah, they don't even have to be a friend. Could be a stranger.
Tell a stranger on the street the name of the podcast because you know they're going to look it up.
Yeah.
They're going to be curious.
Well, I mean, stick around. Like, stand there and make sure, like, you see them pull it up on their phone and start listening. Yeah. So maybe, so just wait around for, like, the first 30 minutes and just kind of see what the vibe is.
Make sure they're, like, getting it. Like, if they don't get it, you might have to explain it to them a bit.
You might have to explain it. So, like, pull their earbud out and then, like, say, like, do you get it? And then, like, put it back in for them.
And then put their earbud in your ear and then share a milkshake. Yeah. And then... Anyway, so if you like the show, please share it with a friend. It would really help us out a bunch, and we appreciate the help. Next time, we're going to be doing the last episode in our Forgotten Movie Sequel season, so stay tuned for that. After that, Frank, who knows what's next? We got a whole new season to cook up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, we got the ingredients.
Got the ingredients. Bit of kumite.
A little bit of kumite.
A lot of first round babies.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if they make it past the first round.
Like you said, sometimes they're going to fight each other. Anyway, other things of note. Please follow the show on social media. Our links are in the description. You can also go to our website at any time, meetyourdoubleFeature.com, and that will link you to all of our various platforms. Frank, I'll turn things over to you one last time. Anything else you'd like to cover before we send the folks home?
I mean, I just don't know how this tournament's going to go. Like, I just don't really know how viable it is, actually.
Do we have to be in it? Like, by organizing the tournament, do we get out of participating?
No, we're in it. I mean, that's what's going to make
Okay.
things difficult. Like, we don't know when, we might be organizing things, but then our match comes up and it's just, I mean, but we have to know. We have to find out who's going to win. Don't people want to know?
Don't people want to know who the strongest person on Earth is? And if it's a baby, for example?
Yeah. Anyway, stay tuned. We'll figure it out on the podcast.
We'll figure it out. And until then, we will see you next time on Meet Your Double Feature.
Coming up next, it's Fierce Creatures, followed by The Color of Money on Meet Your Double Feature.